Let's make another sort of a quick video how you can get Zabbix up and running from the scratch in your virtual machine. So first of all, what you need to do is you need to have some sort of virtual machine ready. And in my case, I have, let's see, Red Hat releases CentOS Stream version 8, which is not actually the most recent one, but it will work for our task. Second thing what we need to do is we need to go to the Zabbix.com webpage, and here you can also explore like what is new in the version 6.4. This is not a what's new video, so we're not gonna go deeply inside, but basically just-in-time user provisioning for LDAP and Active Directory. Great functionality. Cause and symptom events, basically absolutely new thing. Instant configuration cache update both on the server and on the proxy, which will definitely help up large environments. Zero downtime Zabbix upgrade. You can have lower version Zabbix proxies with higher version Zabbix server right now, and it not necessarily means anything bad. SNMP discovery and bulk data collection is completely reworked, and right now it does actually work as actual SNMP bulk collection. So your network devices that were monitored by the Zabbix with quite a lot of items right now probably will be very happy and less loaded. New menu layout and real-time streaming of metrics and events over HTTP, so ability to stream some data from the Zabbix to some third-party tools. Template versioning, very quite anticipated and not very well received by the Zabbix user in the first iterations of this versioning, but right now everything is more or less good. Development framework for Zabbix widget creation, so you are able to create your own widgets for the Zabbix dashboard for the visualization, and this is just the first step of let's say the future plans and how pretty and easy it will be to create your own widgets and browse in some sort of library across all different other visualization options that other users created. Optional interfaces for server originated checks, just a minor thing. So if the item doesn't actually need an interface, it's not going to be mandatory anymore. Media type configuration, additional templates, and additional changes and improvements. So all you have to do to try it out is either upgrade your existing Zabbix if you have it, or the other option would be to just install a fresh Zabbix 6.4 on your virtual machine, let's say for the testing purposes only. And this is what we'll be doing today. So first of all, what we need to do is click on a big green download button, zabbix.com/download. And then we need to choose, you have to choose the way how you actually want to get Zabbix up and running on your system. And there are a couple of ways, each of them has like their own benefits, and of course mostly depends on like your knowledge with each of these ways. The first one, I believe it is the most common one, Zabbix packages. And as you can see, Zabbix has pre-built packages for basically all modern distributions used across the people. So if you are not, I don't know, complete geek using something unusual, then you will most probably find the distribution that you have, and you can easily get it up and running. This is the way how we'll be installing the Zabbix, but other ways are Zabbix Cloud. So let's say your company or Homelab, whatever, has AWS, Azure DigitalOcean, GCP, Red Hat OpenShift. You can spin up the Zabbix in your cloud. The only thing is that 6.4 version, as you can see, is not yet published, but when it will, so basically you just pick up what you need, like Zabbix Server, MySQL with Nginx, proceed to install, and you will be navigated to the marketplace, where just a couple of clicks and you have your Zabbix up and running. But we don't want to do the cloud in a video. We don't want to pay any money here. So we skip this. Third option is containers, like Zabbix running in the Dockerized environment is also quite a thing for quite a long time. But I believe it's not the most commonly used approach, because Despite the fact that it doesn't really require any major Docker knowledge, working with that Zabbix installation later on probably does. So you can install Zabbix as a Docker container. There are some videos how to do that. All components are available in a Docker Hub. Sources are available in a GitHub. If you want to do that, you are able. We are going to skip this again for today. Zabbix appliance, pre-installed ISO image or any other format for your virtualization system, whatever. Just download, plug it in, and spin up. You'll have your Zabbix up and running, production ready. There are no downsides or whatsoever. The only thing why I personally don't prefer this, if you choose this and you spin up your Zabbix from on Hyper-V or something like that, yes, you have a Zabbix, but you have no idea how it actually was installed, how the database was created, where did you have to put some credentials, usernames, or whatever. It works, but you don't really know how, so it doesn't teach you anything new. Zabbix sources, which gives you possibility to compile Zabbix from the sources, which is, I know, like if you need that, then you probably know how to do that. If you don't know what it is, then probably you don't even need that. And the last one is Zabbix agents, which is just a Zabbix agent, has nothing to do with the Zabbix server installation. So for our today's video, what we have is Zabbix packages. I showed you that we have a CentOS stream release 8. So what we need to choose, version 6.4. I want to have the most recent one. CentOS stream 8, server frontend and agent. This is what I want to install. Make it be the MySQL database, and let's say Apache Web Engine. For production, I would suggest to use Nginx for our sake of testing. Let's go with Apache. And more or less, this is the most complicated part that we had to do, is decide what and where we want to install. Then we need to just scroll down and we'll have a couple of commands that we need to execute. So no need to change anything. First of all, we just installed the repository of Zabbix, and yeah, there we go. So we are adding official Zabbix repository of the release version 6.4. Then we can again copy paste DNF clean all, just to make sure that everything is up to date and not cached. Then we need to switch to the PHP version because again, while this is happening, before you're installing anything, you definitely should also go to Zabbix official documentation, zabbix.com/documentation, pick the version 6.4, click on the installation, click on the requirements. Be so kind and check what versions are minimally supported by the Zabbix 6.4, because as example, like MySQL, the minimal supported version is 8.0.30, MariaDB 10.5.0 till 10.11, Oracle, different story, PHP 7.4 till 8.2, and with the database, I think we'll have this like minor issue that we will work around, but everything else will be more or less fine on the CentOS stream. If you're running something else, especially some older distributions, make sure that your instance, your server actually meets the requirements of the Zabbix. Yeah, so this is more or less done. We've switched the PHP version. Then we need to install all required components. So what we'll be doing is installing Zabbix server, installing Zabbix web for the front end, installing Apache configuration file, SQL scripts for our database creation, SL Linux policy for SL Linux to function together with the Zabbix, and Zabbix agent for the local monitoring. So just copy paste these lines. I will also add -yes to confirm all the installation. Okay, so it actually took so much time that I even forgot where we stopped. The previous command was for us to install all the Zabbix components, so we're done with that. And right now, if we would go to the next step, which basically requires us to enter the MySQL CLI, we can see that the MySQL command is not found because I have a completely empty and fresh CentOS stream machine, which means that we don't have a MySQL server on it at all. We did choose a MySQL database here, but it doesn't mean that we choose to download a MySQL server database. We decided to download a Zabbix server, which is compatible with a MySQL database engine. Because let's say if we would want to go with a Postgres, it would be a bit of different version of the Zabbix server, let's say it like that. So normally, if you decide to go with MySQL and you need a MySQL, either MariaDB, I would suggest to go to the official page, web page, whatever, of the database engine, MySQL or MariaDB, and download the recent version of the database that you can find right now from there. It will most likely have an instructions how to install up-to-date MySQL or MariaDB. For this video, what I'm going to do is just type yum install MySQL server -yes, which will pick not the latest version of MySQL that is currently available, but the latest which is available on the CentOS Stream 8 official repository. And as you can see, the version that is downloading is 8.0.26, and if you remember in the requirements, supported version is 8.0.30 and newer. So technically we're downloading not supported database engine version, which will cause us a minor issue in our future installation steps, but I think it's going to be just better and more informative for you. So if sometime you will face this issue, you will know what to do, which is pretty easy. So we'll talk about this in a minute. But right now, I guess we'll, again, skip over until it's done. Okay, it was actually done right now. So going back to our Zabbix.com, we can go inside MySQL. So we installed it from the scratch. We don't have any password for the root user. That's why it was enough to type just MySQL. In this Zabbix.com installation manual, it states minus user root and -p for the prompt of password. If you would have a password for the root, then you just enter it. If you don't, as I don't, it's enough to type just MySQL. So create database, Zabbix character set UTF-8 MB4 collation UTF MB4 bin, which is absolutely a mandatory requirement for the Zabbix. So we just copy paste it just like this. If you want to change your database name, you can do that, and you do it here. We will leave the default Zabbix. So we created a database. Then what we need to do is create a user, which we will use in our installation, identified by here we need to type the actual password for this user. So we're creating a user. Name of this user is Zabbix. This Zabbix user is able to access our database only from the local host. And the password for this user is Zabbix. Clicking enter, user created. Now we need to actually grant permissions for this user. So we're granting all the privileges on Zabbix database dot star means that all the tables of Zabbix database to user named Zabbix, which is able to access our database from localhost. Click enter, query OK. Everything fine. Then for the sake of adding a default schema inside a Zabbix database, we need to set global logbin trust function creators equals 1. Later we'll turn it off, and that's it. Right now we can quit. So exit our MySQL prompt, and we're back in the CLI of our CentOS stream. Then we need to take and copy paste this command, which is basically taking this script file, server.sql zip from the location user shares Zabbix SQL script MySQL, and what it is doing, it is importing everything which is inside in our database that we just created. And we also have specified that we are using -u, so user Zabbix -p prompt for password in a database name called Zabbix. We created everything like that, and a password for our Zabbix user was Zabbix, so type in Zabbix and press enter. This might take I don't know, depending on how powerful machine you have, probably up to a minute. Okay, so it did take quite a lot of time again, but it's just because the virtual machine is not too powerful for this task. So we imported a schema in our Zabbix database using the user Zabbix and the password Zabbix. What's next? Next, we need to again go to our MySQL as we did before and turn off parameter log bin trust function creators because we already just imported the schema. So what we do is type MySQL, then in the MySQL prompt, copy paste the line from the zabbix.com, and we can again quit to the CentOS stream CLI. Next, configure the database for the Zabbix server. So what we need to do is edit the config file of our Zabbix server, which is located always by default in etc zabbix zabbix_server.conf. What do we need to find here is db password. So I will search, there we go, db password. As you see, the default value is blank. So what we do is type db password equals, remember we filled in password for our database user Zabbix, just like was the username Zabbix, and the database name also was Zabbix. There we go, db name Zabbix. So Zabbix. Right, quit, done. And now our guide basically says that what we can do is start the Zabbix server and agent processes. So systemctl restart Zabbix server, Zabbix agent, HTTPD, and PHP FPM. We can do that, but we will face an issue. This is a different issue. We are not able to start Zabbix server. Probably I've made some sort of the typo. And to see what typo is made, just type in Zabbix_server without any other parameters. Okay, it wasn't a typo, so let's check the log file. And the log file is located in the var log Zabbix_server.log. What we can see, yes, it is the issue that I was already mentioning a couple of the times. Unable to start Zabbix server due to unsupported MySQL database version. Remember, we have 8.026 and the minimal supported version is 8.030. So we did a bad thing. We installed the MySQL version, which is not officially and traditionally supported by the Zabbix, but it doesn't mean that we're not able to run our Zabbix for the testing purposes. What we need to do is find this parameter in the same Zabbix server config file that we just edited in the etc zabbix_server.conf. Find it, like this, allow unsupported db versions equals 1. So default is 0. We're not allowing unsupported versions. If we set this up to 1, we will allow. It's still not supported officially and again traditionally, which basically means that Zabbix doesn't take any responsibility for any database performance issues you might face. We think that you should have a newer version of the Zabbix of the database, but oh well, if it happened, you can try it out. So after adding this parameter, go back to systemctl restart Zabbix server agent HTTPD PHP FPM. We can again check the log file and see that all the processes are started. And if we sometime decide to restart our virtual machine, we can also copy paste systemctl enable and the same processes that we just typed in. And enable means that we are adding these processes to the auto start. So whenever the restart is happening, these Zabbix related services will be started automatically. And then what we need to do, check IP address of our virtual machine. Here it is. Open the browser, type in IP address /Zabbix, and we are inside the frontend. But since it is a first time access of our frontend after a fresh installation, it is also requiring some sort of minor steps. Zabbix 6.4, welcome, default language English. Click next step. All the PHP parameters are and should be green, okay. Next step. Database type MySQL, true. Database host localhost, yes, I have a database on the same machine as my Zabbix server. Database port is default, I haven't changed anything. Database name is Zabbix. Credentials are stored in a plain text. We're not using the HashiCorp Vault, not the CyberArk in this video. Username dbuser is Zabbix, and the password is also Zabbix. TLS encryption is turned off, so click next. Server name. No, I don't want to do that. Server name, let's make it YouTube. Default time zone, whatever, make it UTC. Default team blue. Next step, just pre-installation summary. Next step. And congratulations, you have successfully installed your Zabbix frontend. Username is uppercase admin, and a password by default is lowercase Zabbix, which allows us to enter our Zabbix installation of the version 6.4.1, try out all the new features and functionalities that Zabbix currently has to serve. You can even go to the configuration data collection hosts and see that there is a Zabbix server with availability green, which means that we have agent monitoring this same Linux host where the Zabbix server is running. And we can also see some latest data in the monitoring session. There we go, like Zabbix server. We get a file system, utilization, use, total, whatever, CPU, a lot of information, load, number of processes, packages, swap, and 2 additional pages of information. So this was not so fast. I think, again, we hit around 30 minutes of Zabbix 6.4 installation on the CentOS 8 stream. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that this will be beneficial for you. I hope that you will manage to install your Zabbix server 6.4. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment, press a like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next videos. Thank you and goodbye.